Welcome back to Enigmatic Echoes, the podcast where folklore, legends, and the unexplained gather around the fire and politely pretend everything is normal. I'm your host, Jazz, and tonight we're heading north, far north, to a place where the forests stretch for hundreds of miles. The winter swallows entire towns, and the wilderness still holds secrets that science politely avoids making eye contact with. Now, tonight's legend involves something that sounds harmless, almost cute, the little people, which sounds like the name of a children's cartoon, or a toy set, or possibly a very aggressive group of garden gnomes. But in Alaska, the story is taken very seriously, because according to generations of Alaska Native traditions, these beings are not folklore characters. They are neighbors, hidden ones, and sometimes they steal things. Sometimes they help people, and sometimes they lead hunters deep into the woods where they disappear forever. So tonight, we're going to talk about them, the history, the sightings, and the stories people don't always like repeating. Because when you talk about the little people, you might be inviting them to listen. So dim the lights, lock the doors, and if you hear small footsteps tonight, just pretend you didn't. Let's begin. Across Alaska, many native cultures have stories of small humanoid beings living in the wilderness. They appear in the traditions of several groupings, including Tlingit, Tsimshian, Inupiat, and Yupik. Each culture has different names for them, but the descriptions share eerie similarities. Small, human-like, living underground or within remote forests, quick enough to vanish instantly, and usually about 2 to 3 feet tall, which is just tall enough to stare directly into your soul if you're sitting down. Now, these beings are often called things like Ichinra in Yupik tradition, or simply the little people. But here's something important. Many Alaska Native elders warn that you should not mock them, you should not imitate them, and you definitely should not steal from them, because they are known to retaliate, and sometimes their revenge lasts generations. If you were hoping these creatures lived somewhere remote and unreachable, I have bad news for you. Because according to legend, they live everywhere in the Alaskan wilderness. Forests, mountains, riverbanks, old abandoned camps, and sometimes inside hills. Many stories describe their homes as small tunnels carved into the earth. Hidden entrances no bigger than a fox den. Some elders say you might find these entrances in the sides of hills, but if you approach them, the entrance disappears, almost like it was never there. Hunters sometimes describe finding tiny footprints in the snow, too small for a person, too organized for an animal, and often circling camps, as if something was watching, observing, learning. Now, personally, if I found tiny footprints circling my campsite in the middle of Alaska, I would immediately pack up and move to another continent. But hey, that's just me. Unlike many supernatural creatures, the little people are not always evil, but they are extremely unpredictable. Some stories say that they help travelers, others say they steal tools, food, and weapons, and sometimes they simply enjoy playing tricks. Hunters have reported waking up to find their equipment rearranged, food missing, boots hidden, or sled dogs refusing to move forward because something invisible was standing in their path. Dogs are often the first to sense them, and animals do something strange when the little people are nearby. They become silent, which in the middle of the wilderness is a terrifying sign, because when nature goes quiet, something is watching. Now, here's where the stories start becoming darker, much darker. Some Alaska Native traditions warn that the little people sometimes kidnap humans, especially children, but occasionally adults. These victims are said to be taken underground, into hidden worlds beneath the forest. Sometimes they return, sometimes they don't, and when they do return, they are never quite the same. One account comes from a hunter in the early 1900s in interior Alaska. He was tracking caribou deep in the woods, hours away from his village. And an evening approached, he noticed something strange. The forest had gone completely silent. No birds, no wind, nothing. Then he heard it, tiny footsteps running, circling him. He turned quickly. Nothing. Then another sound, a small voice, laughing, high-pitched, childlike, but wrong. He lowered his rifle and called out, "Who's there?" No answer. Then something tugged on the back of his coat. He spun around, still nothing. But in the snow behind him, there were footprints, tiny, dozens of them, appearing one after another, as if invisible feet were standing there, watching him. The hunter left immediately, and according to the story, he never hunted in that valley again. Some elders describe the little people as living in entire hidden villages beneath the earth, underground tunnels, chambers, communities, almost like a mirror civilization hidden below the wilderness. These places are said to glow faintly with light, and time behaves strangely here. People who enter sometimes believe they were gone for only hours, but when they return, days have passed, sometimes weeks. One of the most famous stories was about a man traveling alone who began hearing whispers around his camp. He ignored them, but during the night, something entered his tent. He felt small hands touching his boots, pulling them, then tugging his blanket. He opened his eyes, and standing beside him was a small figure, about 2 feet tall, large head, dark eyes, watching him. Then it ran, and when the man chased it outside, there were dozens more waiting in the trees, watching silently. So next time you're walking through the woods and you hear small footsteps behind you, don't panic. It's probably nothing. Just a squirrel or a raccoon, or possibly an ancient underground civilization of tiny supernatural beings judging your life choices. Either way, you should probably walk faster. If you enjoyed tonight's episode of Enigmatic Echoes, make sure to follow, share, and leave a review. And if you want visuals and teasers, you can find them on Instagram and YouTube. Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and remember, sometimes the scariest thing in the forest are the ones you never see. Good night.